One of the things that she said in her interview with Dave Filoni was basically the idea that like she was interested in the concept of the Sith apprentice when he has decided that he is powerful enough to take over the mantle of the Dark Lord of the Sith. He needs to find an apprentice before he challenges. Darth Xana in the Bane books, Bane is like, why the hell isn't she challenging me? It's because she was looking for her apprentice. Now, I have a theory about the apprentice thing I want to get to in a little bit, but like, I just wanted to focus on that simple fact. Like, Chimere is essentially the Sith apprentice, and he clearly, because there's a very interesting part where Soul goes like, why risk exposure? He literally asks him that. Right. And the guy goes, well, I did wear a mask, but the reason why he risks exposure is simple. He's after an apprentice, and he clearly views these two girls as the focus of that. And I like, so let's get to that in a second before we get into some of the details. Like, it's very clear because the Sith Lord knows what happened at this temple where these witches were. Mm-hmm. It's very clear that the Sith Lord, I believe the Sith are involved in the conception of these two twins. Do you believe so?
I totally agree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So specifically, what's the Zabrak woman's name? The one who's
Mother Coral.
Mother Coral. She literally says at one point, like, if the Jedi find out how we gave birth to these children, they're going to be upset. There's also this weird moment. Did you guys catch the moment in the scene where Osha is talking with Yord, and Yord goes like, he doesn't follow the rules of combat. It's like he's just all over the place. And then he specifically says, it's like he's in your head and you can't get him out. And then Osha steps in and she goes, basically she says, my mother and her coven had a similar power. Right. So it's very clear that those witches and the Sith have some sort of interaction. Yes. And I am of the belief that the Sith essentially facilitated that conception for the sole purpose of creating an apprentice that they could bring into the mantle of the Sith Order.
And it's not like the witches were just creating all of these other witches just at will, right? There was something exceptional that happened with Mae and Osha.
They were the only two children.
They were the only two children, to the point in which when they would walk into the witch village, they would be bowed at by the other witches. Yeah. Right? Like there was something truly exceptional about them. And it wouldn't be a stretch to say that the Sith were involved in them. No, and not to mention that there's got to be something else involved with the classic stone fire that you and I have talked about, other than the fact that a bunch of witches suffocated together. Yeah, right. There's got to be something. That again. So much more to that. Yeah, and the fact that Osha was talking, or I'm sorry, Mae was talking about the fact that their mothers could fight against that part of like the Force use. Yeah, yeah. Like there's something so much more to that.
So let me give you my theory, and then we can get into some of these like details, because the amount of details between the appearance of Cortosis, which Cortosis is like deeply entrenched in Star Wars lore. That was the metal that caused the shortening of the lightsabers. Jeki just going toe to toe with the Sith, and like there's so many cool things I want to get to, and we're gonna get to them. But I want to give you my theory because I just literally can't hold it in any longer. So I don't know exactly how involved the Sith were with the fire. That remains to be seen. I do believe the Jedi were involved. The Jedi did some fucked up shit during that scene. They clearly, I'm of the opinion that the Jedi decided we need to raid the facility because they saw a fire. They were like, we need to raid the facility. They cut down all the witches to get to the girls. Right. That's my guess as to what happened. But this is important. These are important details that I came across over the course of the last couple of days. I think I actually just found them on Instagram Reels and then ended up in wormholes. And next thing you know, I'm Googling shit and then I'm figuring stuff out. So the Dark Lord of the Sith who takes over the Republic, as we know, is Darth Sidious. His master, per canon, is a Mune by the name of Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis' master, by canon, is a Bith by the name of Darth Tenebrous. Those are all canon for various reasons. Like there's Disney material that has been released that reveals Plagueis as the Dark Lord of the Sith, who was Sidious's master and Tenebrous before him. Plagueis, from legends we know, with Darth Sidious, engaged in some sort of ritual that led to the conception of Anakin Skywalker. We also know from the Darth Plagueis books, as after the Order of the Canted Circle, when the Maladian assassins cut down all of those Munes, Plagueis survives, right? Sidious then basically at that point, Plagueis decides, Darth Sidious, you can now learn all of my secrets. We've reached it was almost like a leveling up for Darth Sidious, right? So Plagueis brings Darth Sidious to his I think I want to say it's called Sojourn. I might be blanking on the name of it, but there's a specific place that Darth Plagueis had on Munilinst, which basically was his like factory. It's where he had
factory of weird Sith stuff.
His alchemy labs, where he had all his holocrons and old texts and all this different stuff, right?
Right.
As 114D is giving Palpatine a tour of the facility before they get to Darth Plagueis, there is a moment where 114D looks and he goes, "These are some of my master's most recent pregnancies." Literally says that.
Super weird, but very
Plagueis
Sith.
was fucking around with conceiving new life inside of life forms nonstop. This is a thing that he did. So my theory is, and it could also be Tenebrous as well, because Tenebrous and Plagueis were doing a lot of this shit together.
Yeah.
But like one of those Dark Lords of the Sith, whether it's Tenebrous or Plagueis, is going to be the master that is currently holding the mantle of the Dark Lord of the Sith.
Who do you think it is between the two, if you had to pick?
I'm hoping it's Plagueis.
I'm hoping it's Plagueis too, but
because Plagueis would make the most sense.
It would. It totally would. From a time frame standpoint, I think it would.
Yeah, but Ki-Adi-Mundi already violates that. So like they're already telling you that they're extending like, and it's not even Ki-Adi-Mundi got cut down by laser fire on I'm pretty sure on a Mune planet. As a matter of fact, it was on I can't remember what it was called, but like he could have lived for a lot longer. Like Darth Plagueis could have lived for a lot longer. Like Darth Plagueis at the end of the Darth Plagueis book, there's a point where Sidious is like, he looks younger.
Yeah,
he's aging in reverse.
I know.
He literally at one point Sidious describes him as like a pure like aura. Yeah, like an aura of the like he had become when Sidious killed Plagueis. Plagueis was like the most powerful version of himself at that point. He killed him in his sleep. Like so Plagueis could have lived hundreds of years before theoretically. So like in terms of them breaking the canon, right? So like I'm hoping it's Plagueis.
People are going to lose their minds over this, right? But it would be really cool if they could still accept Tenebrous somewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I hope they do because with the Plagueis book, he's so incredibly important.
Yes.
Right. So it'd be really cool to not see him go by the wayside. But again, that's Legends material. So like everyone's just got to be prepared for that, right? Not that I'm like super easy on that. I'm really not. Like I would love to see him be used properly from what we know him as. But it's going to be interesting to see if he plays a role in this or not. And I hope he does.
I think they'll at least mention him. Would be my guess, and watch me just be horribly fucking wrong about all this.
Yeah,
but but I'm hoping it's Plagueis because, like, essentially, then what it would make sense, what would make sense at this point would be that Darth Plagueis would have facilitated the conception of these twins. And by the way, they refer to them; they're not normal girls; they're powerful in the Force. They're relatively untrained, but they are powerful in the Force.
Correct.
I mean, hell, Mae's killed 2 Jedi Masters at this point, right?
Yeah.
So
true.
like
that's no easy task.
Exactly. So like they're powerful, and at a certain point, like Plagueis would want for the Sith mantle to be carried on by a specific type of like powerful, Force user, right?
Right.
So like what I'm hoping that this ends with is that Plagueis is basically the only Sith that survives. So I want to see Chimere die. By the way, Chimere knocked it out of the park. Can't wait to talk about that. Chimere just killed the game. Like such classic Sith like two-facedness. Like
so cool.
I'm completely useless. It's like no, I'm fucking not. But like he's
a dope character.
Super dope character.
And ripped.
But I'm hoping
ripped out of his freaking mind.
If the twins die and the other apprentice dies, it makes some sense that like Plagueis, through his immortality, could then bide his time and wait for his next apprentice, who would then inevitably be Sidious. Right?
And there's a possibility where there's 2 lines of Sith happening right now, which again, people will not love that, but that is totally within reason. We talked about Darth Venomous, right?
Darth Venomous, yeah.
Venomous, and how there were multiple opportunities for different personalities to take over the role of the Sith, right? There is literally a giant audition, right, where Plagueis had to go about killing other potential auditioners, right?
Yeah.
So like there is a possibility that there could be two lines of Sith happening right now.
Yeah, essentially there were Sith who violated the rule of two, and one of like one
not
of them
even a full violation where it's like a
partial
legitimate.
violation.
Yeah, it's a partial violation where it's almost an addition.
Still.
Yeah.
So and Plagueis didn't view Darth Venemus as an additional Sith. He viewed him as a test.
Right.
So basically, Darth Tenebrous trained Darth Plagueis as his apprentice, but then after Darth Plagueis killed Darth Tenebrous, another Sith named Darth Venemus, who didn't even know that that Tenebrous had died, attacks Plagueis at his. I think that might have been Sojourn. I can't remember. It doesn't matter.
I think it was.
I think that was Sojourn. I'm misremembering the name of the place on Munilence, and it's killing me, but it is what it is. So, but then when Plagueis defeats Venemus, he takes his body and experiments on him, because of course he does. But
Sith stuff.
Yeah, Sith stuff. But what's fascinating about that part to me is like Plagueis looked at it as like essentially what Tenebrous was doing was like, if Venemus beats Plagueis, it means Plagueis was unworthy.
Right, exactly.
If Plagueis beats Venemus, then it's like it's a test of his will.
Well, and that is so. And if people get upset about that, like, number one, I understand why you'd be upset, but really don't be, because we see that even in canon. We see Darth Maul being a slightly illegitimate follower of the Sith. We see Asajj Ventress, as like this super powerful potential Sith.
Dooku was a placeholder.
Yeah, exactly.
Palpatine had his eyes on Anakin the whole time.
So we see that there's always a master and apprentice, but there's always people gunning for that position, and that is okay. In Star Wars universe. There's nothing wrong with that.
I 100% agree. That's something that I don't have an issue with. So, but basically, that's my theory. The Dark Lord of the Sith has facilitated this whole thing. I think Kymir's a really interesting character, but I think they intend to kill him before the end of the series.
I think so too.
He's
just not it. He's just not it.
I wouldn't even put it past Leslie Headland to reveal Plagueis or Tenebrous as the final scene of the final episode.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
it would make me really, really happy as a Star Wars nerd to see Tenebrous as that placeholder.
Yeah, I actually found I've talked about this before, but I thought Darth Plagueis was the best book that I've ever read for fiction. It did such a wonderful job of explaining the grand plan, which was how the Sith overthrew the Republic. And like,
completely agree.
They could literally cast a young Palpatine and do that book, like which would be really fascinating. And I'd be down for that. But we've gone too much into speculation at this point, so let's get back into the episode.
All right.